It's not often, guys, that we do a little bit of basketball, let alone college basketball, on here on the channel. We're mostly football, baseball dominant here on the channel, Sports Talk Nation. But I don't know how we could go about without at least talking a little bit about what's going on in March Madness, especially with the school that's really taken everyone's attention by storm, for that matter, and that, of course, is St. Peter's out of Jersey City. Let's talk about it. So, folks, again, St. Peter's out of Jersey City. Here is this little tiny school, little private Jesuit school located in the heart of Jersey City. I used to work in Jersey City at the Jersey Journal many, many years ago. Their campus is, right off JFK Boulevard. It is just a few blocks, not miles, excuse me, blocks away from Journal Square. It's a tiny little campus, a tiny little basketball arena. And it sits a pretty good amount of people, but it's a small arena. It doesn't have that feel that you would say of your normal D1 level school, let's say like a Kentucky or even Rutgers for that matter. We have a big campus, you have a big arena, NBA like type arena. And here is this little school, kind of the little engine that gets into the tournament as a 15th seed and has now won two big games here in the NCAA tournament. It's now going to the Sweet 16. It really is an incredible story. In this area, in the New Jersey, New York City market, we haven't had a lot of really good sports stories. We talk about a lot of, transactions, coaches getting fired, coaches getting hired, players moving around. But we haven't had a lot of success in this town in a long time. And in the basketball realm, we haven't had success in a very long time. Nets are inconsistent right now, especially this year with all the Kyrie Irving drama with the vaccine and not getting vaccinated. Will the New York City Mayor Eric Adams allow him to play or not play, and all that stuff? And then, of course, the Knicks have been horrible. And here comes this team that a lot of people didn't think much of when that bracket came out. You see St. Peter's against Kentucky, probably shrug, Kentucky's going to win, and they hang with Kentucky the entire game, and then find a way to beat them at the end of the game. And then yesterday against Murray State, St. Peter's never trailed once in the game. They had a couple of ties, but never trailed once in the game. And really, it's these three guys, and that's Casey Ndefo, who had 17 points yesterday to lead the team, Darrell Banks III, who was great in the game against Kentucky, and then how about this guy off the bench? And that, of course, is Doug Edert, who just continues to hit big clutch shots, big threes, late in games, each of the last two games for St. Peter's to put them in this position to go to the Sweet 16. How long is this going to continue? I don't know, but let's just sit there and enjoy it. And think about this. St. Peter's, before this tournament, they only played in 3 NCAA tournament games and lost all 3 of them. They played in 1991, lost first round to Texas. 1995, lost first round to UMass. 2011, first round loss to Purdue, and here they are. These are their first 2 wins in a big tournament in the NCAA tournament. And if you don't want to just talk about the local angle from that standpoint, look at the historic standpoint, because you have St. Peter's, a school that really doesn't spend a whole heck of a lot of money, obviously, on resources, doesn't spend a lot of money per se compared to what Kentucky does on its basketball program. And here's just an example. Kentucky outspent St. Peter's $18.3 million to $1.6 million in men's basketball. And that was a budget difference ratio of $11.7 million. That is the largest financial gap between opponents since 2007, I should say. This was the biggest upset financially of all time. Off the bottom spenders in 2022 March Madness, Duke spent about $19.9 million on its basketball team expenses for March Madness, whereas St. Peter's spent a little bit of about $1.5 million, about $1.6 million. And then you take a look at expenses. And again, Kentucky right up there with Duke, one of the top 2 of the best programs, run in the nation. They're right near the top. The team that St. Peter's beat the other day in Murray State, they're a little over $2 million as far as expenses are concerned. Where is St. Peter's? So all the way near the bottom, you can barely see their logo as it's smushed with a bunch of other logos in there, around 15th, a little bit less than maybe $1 million, $1.6 million, that's where it is. They don't spend. This is incredible what they did. These 2 teams, one that's spending a little more than $2 million in Murray State, and one that Murray State that had won 21 straight games and was 30-2 at one point this year. Hadn't lost since December. That was how amazing it was for them to beat Murray State. And, of course, Kentucky because, well, it's Kentucky, one of the best programs in the country, and one that, obviously, with John Calipari, hadn't lost in the first round since Calipari had been the head coach there. This was historic. It's hard not to look at what they've done and say, finally, this is our feel-good story of the year. This is the team that a lot of people are going to jump on the bandwagon for and root for as long as they're going to go in this tournament. And, of course, going into the Sweet 16, going to go up against a tough opponent, whether it be Texas or Purdue. Is this going to continue? Probably not. I mean, even if they do get past, let's just say Purdue or Texas, there's going to be North Carolina or UCLA waiting there for them in the Elite Eight. At some point, it's going to come to an end. The clock's going to strike midnight, and the carriage turns into pumpkin, if you will, for St. Peter's. But for the time being, for the moment, let's just enjoy the moment. Too many times we say, you don't want to be a prisoner in a moment. You want to, have a broader perspective. I get that. Enjoy the moment because it's a wonderful story about a small school with a bunch of players who probably not going to be NBA players, and a lot of players are not going to be NBA players for that matter in this tournament, but are not going to be NBA players. They're playing because they love the sport, because they love playing for that university over there in Jersey City, and they've taken that small town in Jersey City, in Hudson County. It's a small county. Everybody knows each other in that county. It's an amazing place. They've taken that entire community on its back, and they're carrying them right now going down to Philadelphia for the Sweet 16. So, folks, I want you to, again, comment below. What do you think about what St. Peter's has done here in this tournament? Is this the best sports story of this year right now? That's my question to you. And is this the best sports story that we have seen in the tri-state area? I would say right now, granted it is only March of 2022, I would say yes. I would say yes to both. As I said, we have not had a lot of success here in the New York tri-state area as far as teams winning games are concerned, winning games, the playoffs, getting postseasons for several years, for that matter. So from that standpoint, yeah, it's really nice to see a team basically come out of nowhere and have a lot of success and put themselves at the forefront on the national scene as being a really, really incredible story. And two, right now it would be the story of the year. Even if it does come to an end, it is going to come to an end at some point in the Sweet 16. Up to this point, it has to be, at least in New York and New Jersey for that matter, as possibly the story of the year, to see this little team that came out of this little team in a year where Rutgers had a great year in college basketball. Of course, Seton Hall had a big year in college basketball, and it's St. Peter's that is the one that's going to the Sweet 16. From that standpoint, in college basketball in the tri-state area, it is the best story of the year. Leave your thoughts below, folks. Now, there'll be a schedule here popping up. There it is. What's coming at you? We got some Mets stuff we got to talk about. We got to talk about the NFL free agency. We got to react to some of the things that went down. A lot of craziness. That's what's coming up. Like and subscribe, and you'll see all that stuff coming in the next couple of days. We'll talk to you next time.